Oshiete kudasai. 808 Maskman. Hey, long time no see. お久しぶりです。Long time no see. So today, first Maskman video in a while. So I wanted to talk a little about what is a good teacher. So, well, what do you think is a good teacher? Like, if you think about in your life, well, maybe you had good teachers, maybe you never had good teachers, but well, if you had a good teacher, or you think he or she was a good teacher, then what made that person a good teacher? And if you never had a good teacher, what do you expect of a teacher? You know, what is the ideal teacher, the perfect teacher? But then again, there is no perfect teacher. But anyway, what I feel is, you know, it's similar to like what there's a famous saying, they say, you know, you teach a man to fish. Well, no, you give him a fish. You give a man a fish. You feed him for a day. But you teach a man how to fish. You feed him for a lifetime. You know, you feed him forever. He can always eat. He always knows how to catch a fish. So I think so like basically it's like one is short term and one is long term. You know, like, but I think these days many teachers just focus on the short term. You know, it's like this today, and make sure they get the answers, and make sure they understand this. But a lot of stuff gets lost in the process. You know, I think about, you know, long-term thinking, stuff like that. You know, a lot of it these days is so, well, what is that word? It's so efficient that we become inefficient. Like, we focus on efficiently trying to stuff everything in, beam, into the short time, but we lose sight of the big picture sometimes, you know. So, but so, you know, as a result, you know, teachers are forced to stick to strict schedules, stick to curriculums, stick to, you know, getting stuff done, you know. And from a management point of view, I can understand, you know, you gotta try to get everybody on the same page, you know, try to give keep everybody up to date, you know what I mean? But there's also another problem where the salesperson is pitching this, you know, oh, if you come to our school, you take our lessons or something, you do this, you study here, you can get this, and this, and this. But you know, I think that's like well, it's true, you could get those things, but many people don't get those things. I mean, you know, they get it to some degree, but they don't get excellence, I think, you know. But well, it's, I guess the problem of today's teaching industry, I think, or education industry. Well, yeah, I mean, well, but anyway, what makes a good teacher? So yeah, I think it's a good teacher gives you long-term lessons. I mean, teaches you stuff that you can use in the long term, you know. The short-term stuff, you know, like, just like the fish. If you get a fish today, you eat the fish is gone, you know what I mean. It's tomorrow, there's no fish. And but if you know how to fish, you can fish forever. So something like that, you know. So how to give value that will be useful over time, you know what I mean, like not just today but also tomorrow. And I think that is a very important aspect of teaching, I think. So like one example is like most teaching programs, they teach you how to teach. And so I've seen a lot of these guys and girls or whatever, they have high level expertise, you know, they've been trained, they paid the big money, they went to get their masters, they went to get their certificates or whatever. But I mean, yeah, they were trained to teach. But you know, when it comes to you get a class that of unmotivated students, of students who are not interested in what you are teaching, all the techniques mean nothing. Not nothing, but like, I mean, it's just as hard for me or as hard for anybody when you get a class that is not receptive to what you are trying to teach. You know what I mean? So I've seen a lot of these high level, highly trained teachers get some terrible, not terrible classes, but unmotivated classes and perform poorly. And so it's not a matter of training, you know. You can be a well-trained teacher, you can study hard, but deep down inside, you know, I think that, it helps you. It helps you become a better teacher, but it does not make you a good teacher, I think. But what makes a good teacher? There are many aspects, but just getting the training is not enough, you know. For example, you know, there are many black belts in the world. You know, you have for example, karate. You know, there's a lot of black belts, and a lot of different styles. But okay, even in, you know, full contact karate, you know, you hit hard, only the strong survive. That kind of karate. You have a lot of weak black belts and a lot of strong black belts, but, you know, not everybody is super strong, you know. But so same thing, you know, you can study the techniques, you can train for a long time, but does not equal success. Does not equal, it's not a golden ticket, you know what I mean? I've seen guys studying karate, training karate for a long time and still don't improve so much. Yeah, then you can say, okay, it's the quality of the student, you know, they don't take initiative, they don't think outside of class, you know, and that is important, you know. Students should take charge, take ownership of their own learning. Be responsible for their own learning. And yeah, I truly believe that, you know. But what is the role of the teacher then? If the student should be self-motivated, push himself to learn, you know, problem solve, whatever, you know, then what is the role of the teacher? Because in that system, you don't need a teacher. You become your own teacher. Which is good, you know. But also, then what is the role of the teacher? And what I think, the role of the teacher gives you an environment an opportunity where you can hone these skills of self-improvement. So the teacher provides he gives you a chance to use the skills you need when you run solo. Like, you know, creative thinking, problem solving. He challenges you. He or she, you know, again, he or she, the teacher prepares you for these kinds of situations. Like, you know, not just getting the answer, but, you know, critical thinking, how to get the answer. What if you do this, then what happens to here? You got to think about the big picture. So yeah, like, that's what I think, you know, you got to think about that. So like, you got to provide an atmosphere where students can try and use their brain and try. Also, if they're unmotivated, maybe they won't even try. You know, you can have the greatest plan in the world and say, okay, let's do this. And then they're like, no thanks. You know, I'd rather play Pazdora or something. You know, I better chat with my friend or watch TikTok or, you know. So, then becomes the next part is how to motivate the students, you know. That is very hard. And there's no magic trick and there's no, you know, teaching technique that will guarantee success in all situations. But what I have not discovered, but basically is if you honestly try to help the students or help them better themselves, help them get better, honestly, they know that you are genuinely trying to help them. And that cannot be faked. You gotta really try to help them. And I mean, sometimes, students have so many barriers that you cannot get through. You cannot get them to open up. You cannot, it's impossible sometimes, but with many students, I think, you gotta just genuinely try to help them. And doesn't mean, giving them the answers. Doesn't mean scolding them every day. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of teaching techniques. But basically, if you have, some people feel, I'm strict because I want my students to be successful or whatever. But how many times have you had a teacher, a super strict teacher that you feel was a really good teacher? Like, like even when I went to karate, I chose a dojo I looked at the teacher and I thought that, this guy can help me get better. Not because he was the strongest, not because he had the best techniques, but just because he seemed like a genuinely nice guy and he tried to help us. And I feel, always thankful to that guy. And he didn't really yell at us. He didn't really scold us. But I feel like I got a... Well, even, I don't know. It's just motivation. Can you motivate your students? And can you help them to prepare for the long haul, So motivation is definitely an important factor, I think. But anyway, so let's review. So basically, what is a good teacher? That's up for debate. But I think a teacher who teaches for the long term is good, I think. A teacher who focuses on helping the students is good. Who generally wants to help, who generally wants the students to get better, to improve, that is also good. And also, so if we talk about how to motivate your students, I've seen a lot of times is teachers try to use fear to motivate students. Oh, if you do this, I'm gonna mark you down. If you do this, you're gonna fail. If you, to some degree it works, but I think that's like the fish thing, You scare them today, yeah, they're okay for today, but that fear doesn't help them 10 years later, So when I teach, I try never to use fear tactics, intimidation tactics, because what does that do? I hate when people do that to me too. They try to make me feel afraid. Oh, if you do this, you're fired. Or if you do this, blah blah blah. I hate that. I don't like to be treated like that. So I never treat my students like that. I hate fear tactics. And you look at in history, dictators run their governments with fear. They run their societies with fear. And what happens with these guys? Eventually they get what's coming, the people get revenge, they're tired of being afraid. They're tired of being threatened. And so yeah, fear tactics, in my opinion, are not good to motivate, And then, okay, so then you can use assessment, which is, in the modern world, there's a lot of assessment, like test them, and it's efficient. Well, it seems efficient because you can show hard copy results, oh, the test scores have improved, oh, they remembered this much. So it's quantifiable. If you always assess, you get quantifiable numbers. What these numbers mean, I have no idea, but you can justify something by using numbers. Yeah, okay. But is that the best way to motivate people? I don't think so. But I understand, yeah, it's important sometimes. But once I heard Stephen Krashen say, assessment is not teaching, Stephen Krashen is a famous guy in ESL, but I really respect this guy. But he said once, the assessment is not teaching, and just testing people does not mean you are teaching them. You might teach them, to get the right answer, but the right answer is this, so you better get this answer, But in the long term, it's not teaching anybody. I think it's just gone here today, gone tomorrow, So also myself, I try not to focus too much on assessment. Time to time, yeah, it's important. Time to time, yeah, it's good. But who's motivated by assessment? I hate to be tested. I hate when people test me. I hate that. Do you like that? I don't. So you meet a person for the first time or whatever, and they come up and test you. Do you like that? I don't like that. Or even whatever. If a friend always tests you, I don't know. You don't like hanging around that person, right? So also assessment is not a motivator. I think good motivator. I think it's a tool, but it's not a motivational tool. It's in many cases it's demotivational. So like it comes down to teachers have to motivate students to try harder, to use their brain, to work together, to give more than what is necessary. That is motivation. So there are many ways to do it, but I don't think fear and assessment is one of them. Like I said, I think you have to clearly, I don't know, man. You just gotta get them to open their hearts, open their minds to you, to get them to trust you, to believe in you. Like, you ever had someone, you never believed in, you never trusted? You cannot follow that kind of person, Well, I can't anyway. If you can't trust a person, I don't want to work for that person. I don't want to work with that person. I don't want to help that person. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is, getting integrity, fairness. You really want to help your students, That kind of stuff, permeates through, and in most cases, students know you are fair. Students know you are trying to help them, Students know you are not here to demoralize them, You're here to help them. And then eventually, that's the kind of stuff that help you break through some barriers, I think. But that is all. And also, if you have charisma, I mean, I don't have that. I don't think I'm that charismatic. But some people have natural charisma. They can just sell you an idea, and everybody's on board. And that's cool. Teachers should be charismatic. Teachers should be able to motivate and challenge students. So let's review, I think. So basically, a good teacher thinks not only for short term but for long term. Also, a good teacher, must challenge the students and give them a chance to improve. Put them in situations where they have to use their brain. Be challenging. And also, teachers should motivate their students. Preferably not by fear or not by assessment. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But what do you guys think? So let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. And yeah, thanks for listening. And see you again soon. ありがとうございます。どうも。